at 11. The Senate race in Georgia remains one of the most watched in the country. We'll have live reports from Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker's watch parties.
We're also watching another tight race in Georgia. It's the rematch from 2018. Brian Kemp taking on Stacey Abrams for governor.
Plus, Bill Lee projected to win in Tennessee. We'll see just how large the margin is for this race in the volunteer state.
News Channel 9 at 11 starts right now.
I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't come to lose. And I told you he's going to be tough to beat. He's going to be tough to beat, but let me tell you what, he got the wrong Georgia here, don't he?
Welcome to Election Night right here on News Channel 9. We're covering key races, including the race for one of Georgia's Senate seats, which could flip the balance of power on Capitol Hill. You just heard from Herschel Walker there, who now leads in that U.S. Senate race. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Josh Rowe.
And I'm Kim Chapman-Whitfield. We have team coverage for you tonight. Chrissy Calcagno is at Representative Chuck Fleischman's watch party. As the AP is reporting, he will keep his position. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee also winning re-election tonight. And while Haley Rader and Sam Pena are covering this huge Senate race down in Georgia.
And we begin tonight with that Senate race being closely watched across the nation. Incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock, Republican challenger Herschel Walker.
Yeah, Haley Rader is live at Raphael Warnock's watch party, and we'll get to her in just a moment. First, though, let's go to Sam Pena, who is at Herschel Walker's party. Sam, what's the mood like there right now?
Kim, it's a very, very excited atmosphere right now, but everyone here is still waiting with bated breath, and it's a razor-thin margin between Warnock and Walker. Now, the latest measures that are coming in, the latest numbers right now that are coming in from AP show about 73% of precincts in right now, giving Walker a razor-thin, about 30,000 vote lead, but not at 50%. Now, several other sources have more precincts reporting, such as CNN having about 85% in. They also give Walker a lead of about 25,000 votes, but just like all other reports right now, it shows neither candidate at the required 50% needed to avoid a runoff election. Now, about 15 to 20 minutes ago, Walker came out to speak with everyone here and said that they need to hang tight as they wait on the results, but that he feels confident he will be the next senator of Georgia.
Hang in there a little bit longer. Just hang in there a little bit longer, because something good, it takes a while for it to get better. And it's going to get better. So I wanted to thank you guys for hanging in. And if some of you have to go home, you can wake up tomorrow morning and see that the new senator for the great state of Georgia is Herschel Walker.
Now, most of the North Georgia counties right now are at about 90% reporting. In the metro areas such as Atlanta, DeKalb County, Cobb County, they're at about 70 to 80% reporting right now, meaning more numbers will be coming in. This election is far from over. Reporting live, I'm Sam Pena.
All right, Sam, thank you very much for that update. Haley Rader tonight is in Cobb County.
That's right. She's live at Raphael Warnock's watch party. Haley, has Warnock said anything tonight about what's going on there? Have you seen him out there talking?
Josh, Kim, Warnock has not made an appearance yet, but his campaign manager just came out about 15 minutes ago and said that he would be here soon. Now, we don't know what the timing is for soon, but there is note that he will be speaking. Now, his campaign manager also said that there's still votes that need to be counted, but they're feeling good right now. And the energy here does match that. Everyone has been dancing all night, mingling with their friends and family, and it's very evident that they haven't lost any hope and that they realize that this is a tight race. Now, anything could happen. We're still at that point. And don't forget, in order to be declared the winner, you have to have 50% plus one. Now, right now, the city of Atlanta's mayor is speaking. We've had people speaking all evening, ranging anywhere from those on the campaign trail to reverends that have offered prayer to all these individuals like the mayor of Atlanta, as well as our former mayor of Augusta, Harley Davis Jr. Now, we will keep you updated as we follow this very tight Senate race, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you Warnock when he does speak, depending on when that is. Reporting live in Atlanta, I'm Haley Rader. Now back to you.
Haley, thank you so much. Right now, I'll look at the up-to-the-minute numbers on the Warnock-Walker race from the Secretary of State's office right now. You can see right there those numbers there. You can see Walker with the lead in that. Actually, the numbers actually have changed even since then. 86% 96.79% of the votes are in. Think about this. More than 3 million votes have been cast in this race. 3,400,000 some odd been counted at this point. This is only separated by 2,700 votes at this point. That's it right now. Razor thin margin. We'll watch this throughout the show tonight. Let you know when those numbers do change tonight as well. Got to keep this in mind as well on this race, right? You've got to win 50% plus one, right? 50% of the vote plus one vote to win this race. If not, this goes to a runoff 1 month from now. And you look at the counties in our area and how they voted. Georgia counties in our area: Murray, Whitfield, Walker, Catoosa. Dade County voters voting at more than 70% in support of Herschel Walker in his bid to become the next senator in the state of Georgia. Georgia also has 2 amendments on the ballot tonight. A yes vote for the First Amendment would suspend payment for specific public officials if they are suspended from office for being indicted in a felony. That includes the governor, the lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and also members of that General Assembly. A yes vote on the Second Amendment would allow local governments to grant a temporary tax relief to properties that are damaged or destroyed within a nationally declared disaster area. Do we have a look at those amendments and the votes there in the state of Georgia right now? Apparently we don't have those numbers just yet. We will get those numbers up here as quick as we possibly can.
Now, in Tennessee, there are amendments on the ballot as well. 4 of them to begin with were also on the ballot for voters to decide on today. The first would change the state's constitution to prohibit mandatory union participation at workplaces. That's right. A yes vote on the second would amend the constitution to allow for a process and a line of succession for an acting governor when the elected governor is unable to perform the office's powers and duties. That's right. And the third would update language in the state constitution, which previously allowed for slavery and indentured servitude as a punishment for a crime. All right, I don't think we have these numbers right now on these full screens, so why don't we do this? I believe we have a reporter standing by at the Governor Bill Lee watch party. Let's go to them now.
All right, good evening, you all. Yeah, I've been spending the evening here in Williamson County, and that's where Governor Bill Lee held his watch party. People were able to come in here at about 6:30, and I can tell you it was a quiet confidence throughout the evening. Governor Lee spoke just after 8, after learning that the Associated Press confirmed his re-election to governor of the state of Tennessee. He went into detail about what he wants to see in his next term and also what he wants to continue doing, and I want to go through that with you. He told me he wants to continue investing in infrastructure, roads, bridges, highways, as well as workforce development. He's also investing also in local law enforcement agencies at the top of his list. At the end of his speech, he brought out his wife, who's been battling cancer just for months. He got emotional and explained to everyone here in the crowd that he's going to continue working for Tennessee. Now, the crowd is no longer here, and that's just because people celebrated. They had confidence in Governor Lee, and he's ready to get to work. He told me that budget hearings begin already tomorrow. Reporting live in Williamson County this evening, I'm Maggie Lemire.
And Maggie, thank you very much. And this will be Lee's second term of office as the governor of Tennessee. That's right. Still to come tonight, we'll be following the race for governor in Georgia, a rematch from 2018. Democrat Stacey Abrams comes back to take on Republican Brian Kemp. The latest on those numbers coming up. The governor's race. This is the one that we've been monitoring closely as well, because now it's time for a rematch, if you will. Stacey Abrams was very close to defeating Brian Kemp last time in 2018. A look at the results right now in this race. You can see right there, Brian Kemp, 54% of the votes in this race. Stacey Abrams, 45% of the vote in this race. 72% of the votes have been counted and reported in this. Shane Hazel there, the Libertarian candidate, with 1% of the vote. Now, Irena Plunkett is live at Governor Kemp's rally. Irena, what is the feeling like there in the heat of this rematch?
definitely confident and definitely exuberant. You see crowds here earlier yelling and chanting as Governor Kemp took the stronghold over his candidate challenger Stacey Abrams earlier today. These crowds just going wild and really fired up about what's to come. Right now, I'm going to make you take a live look at what we're seeing right now in Kemp headquarters. You can see people are standing up, pretty much getting ready and getting pumped up for the governor to come out and address them. It's been a long night, but the night isn't over, especially with the polls that haven't all been tallied up. So there's still more to come. But right now, people here that I spoke with said that it's a stronghold that they're confident will secure the governor another win. Reporting live in Atlanta, Irena Plunkett. Back to you.
All right, Irena, thank you so much. Again, the latest numbers on this race from the Secretary of State's office in Georgia. Brian Kemp has 53.79% of the votes in this race. We'll keep watching that.
And now to Marjorie Taylor Greene, or MGT, MTG, as a lot of people know. There are the numbers right there. 66% of the vote, 95% of the precincts reporting. Marcus Flowers spent $15 million on his campaign. That is more than any other any congressional race in the country in these midterms. Of course, Greene known for a lot of the controversial things that she has said, and also losing her committee assignments as well.
And when we come back tonight, we'll check in on the U.S. House race in Tennessee's 3rd district. We'll see how things are going there at the watch party for Chuck Fleischman. A live report there. That is next. Brian Kemp is the winner as the governor's race in Georgia, and Stacey Abrams has conceded, according to WSB there in Atlanta. So it appears that governor's race in Georgia, it appears at this point to be over.
That's right, but we'll see what happens in the morning. Things will shake out. You never know, right?
As more votes come in for sure, but at this point, Stacey Abrams has conceded to Governor Brian Kemp. Still lots to get to tonight, including a watch party for Chuck Fleischman. Chuck Fleischman defeats Democrat Meg Gorman in a rematch from 2020.
News Channel 9's Christy Calcagno as live as Chuck Fleischman's party in Chattanooga. Christy, how are things looking at the Westin right now?
Hey, good evening, Kim. Good evening, Josh. Well, the party just wrapped up here at the Westin in downtown Chattanooga, but boy, spirits were definitely high as Congressman Chuck Fleischman has won for what he tells me is now the actual 7th time. There were also some other local representatives as well, those members of the sheriff's office and city council as well in attendance tonight. You know, it was pretty crowded here, and one of the main things that we've been doing throughout the night is actually watching on the big screens, you know, what is going on throughout the country when it comes to both the Senate and the House. Now, Fleischman was telling me that he's very happy, of course, with having the majority Republican in the House. He says, well, that'll be very beneficial for him. Of course, with the Senate, as you are well aware, we are closely watching that. And at tonight's victory speech, Fleischman says that he has a lot of work to do.
Committee. I'm going to be in the new Congress with the majority, but we call it Cardinal, a subcommittee chairman on appropriations. So I will be able to continue to do the things that I've done in the past, like full funding for the Chickamauga Lock, but we're also going to make sure that across the state that I will be able to do all of the appropriations to make sure that the great state of Tennessee, including the 3rd district, gets the federal resources that it needs.
Now, the congressman tells me that overall this was a big night for him as well as a big victory. But of course, he is hoping to keep that momentum going for the entire country. Reporting live here in Chattanooga, I'm Christy Calcagno for News Channel 9.
Christy, thank you so much. Great job out there tonight. Tennessee's 4th District, Scott Desjardins, also wins re-election tonight. This will be his 7th term in Congress.
But the potential change of parties in control of Congress is on the line tonight.
That's right. Latricia Thomas is now going to welcome back a guest to talk about what happened there tonight, not only here locally, but across the country. Latricia.
All right, Josh and Kim, thanks so much. We've been speaking to Tom Griscom tonight. He's been joining us to give some commentary on how this is playing out. We want to once again welcome him as he gives us a little bit of insight. We know, Tom, that Georgia race is even closer than ever, even closer than in the last 30 minutes that we've talked, as Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock just neck to neck still, as we're about 86% of the precincts reporting.
Yeah, about a, 23,000 vote difference. It'll be interesting because Raphael Warnock won this seat 2 years ago in a runoff. And so now he's getting ready to do it again. And I mean, it appears that there will be a runoff in about a month. And the independent, the libertarian in this race got about 2%, 71,000 votes. Now, if he had not been in the race, you don't know how those votes would have split up. But you know, you always have to sort of look at that and say there was a third party in this race that took off 2% of the votes, that either one, if Walker or Warnock had gotten that, they would have won. One other thing we haven't talked about, there is now another additional Republican congressman going to be in Tennessee. When they redistricted Jim Cooper's former House seat, and sort of broke it into three parts. The new representative coming in when Representative Cooper decided not to run again it looks like it's going to be Andy Ogles, a Republican. So there'll be 8 Republican representatives from Tennessee.
And so many eyes still on Georgia, Tom Griscom. Do you think, is there normally a party that does better in a runoff situation, or is it still just starting from the beginning for these two candidates?
I don't think you can predict one way or the other. I mean, you know, in 2020, it was a 4-person race. Warnock beat Kelly Loeffler, who had been appointed to the seat. He got like 35% of the vote, and then when you had the head-to-head, he clearly got a majority and got elected, and then had to run again 2 years later. So I think it's all about turnout. You got to get people fired up again to come out and vote one more time. It's going to be an expensive race, but it's going to be the focus race, because the whole setup of the Senate, just like it was 2 years ago when it came down to Georgia, may rest in this race, where they have a runoff again.
That's right, and we did some deep digging into the numbers in our local counties, the Walker County, Whitfield County, Catoosa County, Murray. All of those favored Walker by 70 to 76%. So really it was down in those Atlanta counties where you saw some of that change happen.
Yeah, if you saw Atlanta, Columbus, Georgia, Savannah, you know, maybe in Athens. I mean, the pockets, the more metropolitan pockets, clearly voted stronger for Senator Warnock, and yeah, so it's more of a rural vote that went with Herschel Walker, and so it's just, again, it just depends on turning, you know, who turns out votes.
That's right.
And it's all the focus in this country is going to be on the state of Georgia in December.
That's right, and we appreciate you helping us kind of look at what that focus means and what we have to look for moving forward if, in fact, this night ends and neither one of them gets 50% plus one.
You're right. It'll be an interesting month coming up.
It will. Thanks so much, Tom Griscom, for helping us understand all this as it breaks down. Josh and Kim, back to you.